7:05.
Yep.
7:05 PM. And we welcome Nate to the meeting.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So we have the minutes from the previous meeting. I don't know if everybody got a chance to look at it earlier.
It looked okay to me.
10F, it says Nation Grid on the second line instead of National.
That's the only thing I saw, so.
Where is it?
10F, the second line down under, see Nation Grid.
Oh, okay.
Yep. That was all I saw.
Same, yeah.
All right, make a motion to approve the minutes with the correction on 10, section F, correcting the word to National Grid. Will you hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next we have the COVID-19 flu Maven update. I heard on the news, at lunch that, from the head of Massachusetts Memorial, that there is a new COVID strain, of which there's about, they estimate 5% of the cases in the US are from this strain from India. The vaccine still works against it, to the best of their knowledge, and therefore they encourage people to get vaccinated. It's highly transmissible, similar to a regular cold. The symptoms are not worse than the previous versions of COVID, but it's still there. And that's as of today. I have not gotten a Maven update yet from MPHN. I now have a name of an individual and her email, so I'll try and reach out specifically to her to see if
Maybe there's just
they are
nothing
doing
to
it.
tell us.
Yeah,
But then tell us that.
Right.
No new cases.
right, but we're not getting any kind of reports at all for our money and efforts. We could have, if we continue with MPHN, we could have a flu clinic here that they would run, not us, for seniors. They're in the process of, MPHN is in the process of getting grant money to cover flu clinics around the region of the 13 members towns of MPHN.
Just flu?
Yeah, it's just for flu.
And they would do that in the fall?
Yes. But we'd still have to continue as a, well, I believe that it would be worth continuing our $600 per year assessment membership. But whether we continue the over $1,000 commitment just to have Maven coverage, I'm not sure that's a good value or not.
Is the value in them running the clinic that we then wouldn't have to buy the vaccine outright?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, it goes through them. They're looking at flu clinic vaccine at the Zoom meeting that I participated in 2 weeks ago. They were looking at the fact that each shot costs, the vaccine costs about $75 per shot. And so originally they were gonna approve, a smaller number, and then they said, well, based on the number, even just the number of flu clinic vaccinations that they did this past year, the budget needs just to buy the flu vaccine and get it ordered. And I haven't seen any updated meetings, because we have to approve it as a group yet. Maybe I'll get an email tonight for a meeting tomorrow morning at 9. I tend to have them at 9 a.m. on Wednesdays, for like a budget of like $200,000 to cover for the clinics that they anticipate having.
Now, is that who we were saying had monies for the state that they would give us to run clinics? This town?
I thought that they would give
Yeah.
us money, but they wanna run the clinics through the grant program.
So
Because they will get
they're-
reimbursed
So
for it
they're not gonna hand out those monies, they're gonna use it all themselves.
on behalf of each town and run the clinics in coordination with the
So
town.
that's not as good. If we could get the money and run it ourselves, then next year we wouldn't have to come up with any money.
So-
It's that original funding, and if they would just
Right.
give us we could do it ourselves when we wanted and how we wanted.
Correct. And that
Ugh.
would, yeah,
Okay.
that's where it stands right now. I can bring that up in the next meeting, that if they want to
Because
expand
we're
their,
already an approved EDS,
right,
right? So why not? If we
Mhm.
can get them some of that grant money to get our own startup of the funds,
Right.
then year after year, there is no more investment. It just pays
Correct.
for itself.
right,
You know, between Judy, being MRC and everything, we could certainly get the volunteers. We ran it for COVID. It was great, worked really well.
yeah, we have jumped through all the hoops to do it ourselves.
Yes. All we need is that startup amount of money.
Right,
What did
Okay,
Judy
so
say,
I'll
like
ask-
100? She said start with like 100 flu shots or something, but that's still, you said $75, so that's 7,500. It's still not outrageous if they could give
Mhm.
us some of that grant money. And the thing I read on it sounded like that's what they were supposed to be doing, was handing out the
I
grant
think it
money
is-
for
I think-
towns to run clinics.
I think it is potentially one aspect of it, but I have to, it wasn't described that way in the meeting, so I
Okay.
can't
Yeah,
say for
the
sure.
written literature sounded that way, but
correct.
maybe they wanna just keep it all themselves so they can do what they're doing. I don't know.
Well, one of the things is if they do plan to expand clinics, they don't have the staff to cover it. So that's the approach I could take
Yeah.
in my request, that we are capable of
Yeah,
doing our own.
between the town volunteers, right, we had Dr. Stoddard,
Mhm.
and a lot of town nurses and MRC volunteers, and we did great.
Do you have to have a doctor on site?
No,
No.
No, but he is our medical director, so,
you just
We're
have to
covered.
have like
So it makes sense.
EpiPens and,
yeah.
we have an AED in the building, we have everything we need,
Mhm.
access to an ambulance, blah, blah. Okay.
Okay, that's all I have on that. Do we have any Title V reports today? No Title V reports, wow. Do we have any water tests? No.
Feels weird.
I'm getting excited.
Okay, permits to be voted on,
We have these two well permits,
2 well permits,
and those are just for you to sign, but,
okay,
and, so this one is Nate Silky,
yep,
for 40 Hillville.
yep,
He already has his building permit,
mm-hmm,
but, so he wants to
move forward on that
move
now.
forward on- Yep.
Okay. I know the property, I was up there when they perked it. That's what the, just so you guys have seen them, that's what the well
And
permits
this
are.
gentleman is the one that, his well is going, he's got low amount of water.
Right.
And you had wanted to get, picture of
The
the
location of everything?
And it's, he said it's 8 feet from the existing well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, yes, this fellow
Looking at it
on
right, yeah.
23 Natty Pond Drive, his well is not providing the house with enough water anymore. So he wanted to dig a new one, and I said, before I did that, it would be wise to have a copy of the location of everything as it currently is. And so he provided that, and so that's okay. Just see what that's like.
No Judy tonight, huh?
Oh, she's out of town. is there any, septic plans and engineering plans to review?
So this one just came in at 1 o'clock when I was checking mail, so, they did give a check.
But it hasn't been reviewed by Phil?
No, so we gotta wait on that.
I'm gonna wait on it. And, do you have a copy of the minutes I need to sign off on the approved minutes?
Oh, we'll get Judy's copy.
Yes, Judy's copy would be fine. Before I forget to do that for the permanent records. Okay, there's that. There's the NOL permit. This one is
So Phil actually got the, drawings from
directly,
directly and reviewed them because he's away.
and that
And
was
so-
the email that came through today?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
It's right there as well,
right.
and that's what he reviewed.
Okay, so, Phil is out of town but did the engineering review remotely and sent an email that says that he approves it, even though we have to wait on him to, sign them when he comes back, but we can look at it. There you go. There you go. Now we look at his copy. Wow. A lot. It's very deep and narrow, like a triangle. And they got their road frontage they needed.
Oh, is this a
That's
house,
about
is this the
what
house they're
we
building on Malone Road that's not built yet, or is this already?
I think so, it says lot A.
Yes,
There's one that just came on the market. I'm not sure if it was built yet or,
Well, it shouldn't be built yet because the design is just now being
okay, so
approved.
this is that lot then.
Oh, yeah.
Put something in to
Oh, maybe it's
filter
the
the
note, yeah.
water coming from the septic system.
And that's his whole
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's some type
Are we
of.
ready to do that
Yeah,
yet?
very.
yeah.
some
Are we
type of
ready to do
barrier.
that yet? I think I have to vote on that.
I think it's been,
Yeah.
it's a little bit.
Um,
rather thin.
so,
Okay.
Yeah, looks like they managed to finagle it.
okay. Make a motion that we have reviewed and approved what Phil Ledger says is acceptable.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Sign and date, so, let's see. Sign a couple of these. Phil is gonna sign them. is for
Repair.
a repair. Okay,
And that's his regular.
why did Mark send us certificate of compliance? I guess I haven't chosen an installer. So this is paperwork for a repair. Maybe I'll keep these together. Here, I wanna, oh, wait a minute. R.J. McDonald. There's a repair on 16 New Templeton Road. Whose signature is that?
Looks like, is that Phil?
Well, I guess it is Phil's signature. Just looks different to me today,
I
sorry.
mean, from what I could see, it looked like, is it done?
No, Mark put, I don't think so. Let me look again. He just turned in all the paperwork at once,
Okay.
so that it can be done. They need a new septic tank with an effluent filter, D-box, and leach field. Okay. Bill signed off on the plan, which was not brought to us, was it?
That was before my time.
Yeah. Okay,
That's why I brought everything.
yeah, I don't recall this particular one coming in and coming before the meeting, when we were trying to keep everything running. Okay. Local upgrade. Okay, under voluntary.
Did the one on Gardner Road, you know that new house? It's kind of by Dogwood Road, north. Do you know the one I mean? It's too close to the road and they needed a variance.
It's still no
Oh,
one's
yeah,
seen it
yeah.
yet.
Nobody's in it yet,
No.
right?
Their
No.
septic,
No,
that
cause there's
stuff
no
ever come
installer
by
name
us?
or
I don't
anything
remember
filled
ever
out.
seeing that.
He's just,
Letting us know.
What's the
It's
address?
all-
he's
it's
just
all
getting
closed
everything
up.
together
I
at
don't know.
once.
Oh,
Mark
it's gotta be
Parker
Gardner
told me
Road.
to
Yeah,
fill that
Gardner
way.
Oh,
Road,
yeah.
but I just don't know the
So
number.
that's what he's doing.
I never remember seeing it come before us, cause it's got to be a weird system, because there's water and it's like.
Well, they had trouble in the first place with that one, I think.
Yeah, they were too close to the road.
So here's the, sorry,
Oh, no.
go ahead,
you're
you were
fine.
talking about which property?
I don't know the numbers, Gardner Road, you know, the new house that they needed the,
Yes.
variance for, 'cause it's too
Correct.
close to the road.
Yes.
It's still not occupied, but I
Correct.
don't remember ever seeing their septic stuff come in, and it's all sealed up and done now. It's all
That's a
covered
good
over.
question.
It's all covered over. I don't know what number Gardner Road that is, though.
I don't even know where it is.
It's, if you're
Is it
heading
up
north,
towards-
if you're
Mhm.
heading north, it's on the left, just after Dogwood Road North. So it's
Okay.
It's
It's
really
100
close to
and
the
something.
road.
tied, yeah, it's way, real close to the road, they needed a variance, right, because
Yeah.
it doesn't have the proper setback.
Wow.
And the septic is right near the road.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't remember ever seeing it, and now I believe it's all sealed over.
I think that did come before us,
Did it?
yeah,
Okay.
but let's check.
It could have been a meeting I missed or something, and
Yeah.
it just didn't.
I think it did come before us, I'm trying to think back when it was.
Cause there's a retention pond right there, like a fire pond,
Mhm.
too, and I was wondering how they were gonna get that to work
Right,
on such a strange piece of land.
correct.
That was one lot that was subdivided from the Geordie Lane side.
Mhm.
So there was the Bedard Menards property and they sold the section on.
That one section.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, it probably was, I don't know.
So these engineering plans, were looked over by Phil in November, but are just now coming to us, for, repair of the 3 items that I mentioned. On a voluntary basis, they wanted to have the system repaired. They must know that it's leaking and so on. And, 3 bedrooms, 110 gallons per day per bedroom, no garbage disposal allowed.
Does it say anywhere on here how old the system was before it failed? We don't know.
Maybe it's on there. Let's see. Proposed flow, tank, leaching area, existing leaching area to be abandoned.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. I was just
Here,
curious.
sorry.
That's okay.
Copeland has outlined all the things they're gonna do to correct the
This is
soil.
it's a, repair?
Yes, basically an overhaul. It's just about everything of the system. I know I said this, they're gonna supply the sand and stuff for the leach field. Since they supply sand. Alright, any concerns about this repair? Make a motion that we approve the review of the plans for, where are we?
New Templeton.
16 New Templeton Road. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Second?
Who's second? I will. No one did.
I didn't think I heard it.
Keeps moving on.
Don't forget that one.
Sorry, I'm just handing it all
That's
lumped together.
That's fine.
Okay, anything else in that category, engineering septic?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Under old business, Board of Health Regulations, list of fines and fees will be tabled until we have completed reviewing the regulations. Okay? Just don't wanna forget to work on that later. Have you received an email for the joint meeting?
No, I saw it posted.
Okay. It is going to be May 3rd at 7 PM here, and there's, in your folder is the information about it.
It is, I believe,
Yes.
posted.
A week from tomorrow it's posted. We also placed it in the news portion of the town website and on the town social media pages.
Right, it's on the website, yep, I
Yeah.
saw that.
I got a kick out of that someone wrote on it today, wow, there's two, so, so people at home are gonna learn some things.
Right, I've, left a message with, the Cannabis Control Commission, no one would pick up in Worcester today, asking, if, how I can go about getting, to find out if there'd been any odor complaints made directly to the state office. So, we'll see if they call me back. I'm gonna follow up on that. I had checked with Chris Monroe before I went to do that, and he suggested, he thought that was a good idea, that we follow that avenue as well. So, try and follow up on that as much as possible between now and next week. Both of the owners are planning on attending. That's part of the reason it was held off from April to now, next week, so that we can both attend. Anything else on that for now? Okay. Health nurse, I don't have anything new to report about that. It's still being on hold. I'm still waiting for the Worcester County Courthouse to give us a copy of the final paperwork on the Holden Hospital account that was done in '95. So, that's still more or less tabled.
You could have figured that'd be a lot more cost effective, is having our own nurse rather than going through NPHN. It's got to be.
We did the numbers, last year, and the answer was yes at that point. It is more effective, and the town will save money.
Yeah, and we'll get more for the money we do spend,
Right,
because right now we're getting nothing.
that's exactly right. We're just legally, meeting the rules that the state has. So, yeah. And that's, would also cover the Holden Hospital account, both subjects. There's copies of the MAHB legal handbook in the office, and, I think we all have an online version now of the current one. So anybody have any other questions about that right now? All right, so we'll, we can take that off the agenda next month. We don't need it on
The legal
next meeting.
handbook?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So those, just to interrupt you, so that was some stuff I found, in the files,
Okay. Which files?
in all the files that are on the wall over by the door when you come in.
Okay. So under this, I guess we will talk about it for another minute, under this memorandum of understanding, there's an area under item 3, it says the income on the Wachusett Fund, which is what it was called, shall be dedicated and used for any or all of the following purposes in the Wachusett area towns at the sole discretion of each town. And then it goes over emergency funds, operating costs, emergency equipment, training, education, medical areas, and it's to be distributed, yearly, but this is just also a draft, whereas I believe we gave each of you a copy of, an approved letter by the, Board of Health at that time, and the committee that was working on it, that's allocated, and also at the town meeting, allocated 20% to go to the Board of Health. But so in some ways, this isn't any new information, it's a repeat of what we already know. We need to hang on to it.
Okay.
Local regulations, I think we can hold off on looking at that. That's something that we could do without you having to look at it and spend 45 minutes here. So I'd like to postpone that and then work on an unexpected subject, if you will, other than Nate has asked that we discuss the letter that we wrote at the last meeting, asking to have the permanent records held in their original copies for 1 year. So, go ahead.
So I've spoken with legal counsel and the Secretary of State's office. By no means after this project, well, let me not start with that tone. I am here in an effort to find a middle ground on this issue. Because I do, under the powers of the select board, have the right to say things along the lines of, okay, you wanna keep them, go get a storage facility, take it out of your own budget. Because whereas you, as the Board of Health, can say, hey, we wanna keep the papers, we can say, all right, we are the managers of said building. But I want to find a compromise here. I do not, and have not since I started here, understood what the Board of Health's problem with the project is. But it's a project that the town has spent $100,000 on. We are stepping forward with the project, and it is 95% done. So I guess that's what I'm doing here today, to A, find out what the real root of the issue is, cause I was under the impression that we kind of got past this when I came down months ago and we brought up the Laserfish program on the screen. But then to get that letter, I was just taken aback. I also want to come to a compromise prior to bringing this to the select board, because I really don't wanna open the can of worms that could be all 5 of them or 6 of everybody sitting around and throwing ideas around. I want to come to a compromise with the Board of Health on what we could potentially do prior to going down that road.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what
Yeah.
brings me here this evening. I am going to be, shortly after town meeting, writing a policy regarding this, that the town employees that are under the select board's umbrella, which Nancy, the licensing clerk, is one, will be using this program, will be scanning in within a slated amount of time. And so that's something that we will be working on once a couple of things come off the plate. But I just don't wanna keep coming back to this conversation. So I came here this evening to try to come to a reasonable compromise with the board.
Right.
Yeah.
The reason, number one, Board of Health was never brought into any discussion about this.
I didn't
That's
work here
prior
then.
to you. But that kinda gives you a sour taste when it's told that this is what's gonna happen. Number two, in general, we believe that having the original hard copies, while we understand better the quality of what gets scanned in, and has been scanned in by them, the company, how that holds up. In the, not that it's not efficient to use, we're not saying that.
And it will hold up better than what's over there. A flood could take that out. There's
Right.
no floods taking out
Right.
the cloud. like, from where I'm sitting, I feel like that's a guise for fear of technology.
So I've been keeping track informally, it's not an official study, of asking sanitarians who come into town from out of town. Individuals that come to our meeting last month, he does not know how to use a computer, and he came in personally to present paperwork because that's the only way he knows how to handle paperwork. And it's hard copy, it's not online. So there is citizens that still don't have or don't use computers in Hubbardston, and that therefore I think that there's a little bit of a justification
We could
for
print
holding
the
it.
file for them.
So,
Was there supposed to be some sort of like printer, scanner type thing that we're getting?
All of the Kyocera printers
Yeah,
are
are all up and
Laserfish
working.
scanners. They
Yeah.
were all
Connected.
purchased and brought in with this project.
yep.
Okay, so
So-
will they print the big plans? Will they print out a big plan, or is it gonna give us 6 pieces of paper?
I do not have that answer at this time. I know that at Staples, we could
Yes.
print the big plan, so.
I know that was one of Judy's concerns.
Yeah,
I
she
know
was-
she's not here, and I
Yeah,
had to
no.
but I think she was saying that instead of having like a good plan that you can look at, it's
Just
gonna
like one of
be
these
pieces.
nice big sheets
Um,
and plans.
And her concern was if somebody,
How do you
really
print
needed to
those?
see something.
'Cause you can print those the same way as you print, and I'm kind of being devil's advocate here, cause I would just like to state again that this was not my project.
But you're
I
moving it forward
I
per directions.
inherited this project
Yep.
in the fourth quarter. So, like, our plan is to be done this project and have it available to the public in June.
Right.
So,
Great.
And
but that also entails what I thought was sending in the paperwork to the Secretary of State. But I also, within my limited time here, I do not wanna step on the toes of any board. So upon receiving that letter, I wanted to come here.
Yep.
But
So the shredding part of it has to be done before,
that is a
People have
part
access to
of,
it.
no, the people will get the access first. And
Okay.
the shredding part of it
Yeah.
has to be approved by the Secretary of State's office. In order to remove anything, like, there's a good chance that they're gonna come back and say, all right, you can get rid of da-da-da-da-da-da, but we think you should keep X. Like, I'm sure there's gonna be a smaller folder still there, but it gets rid of a lot of the whole hallway of filing cabinets, creates space. There's some stuff out back that we would also get rid of at the same time. I can, like, the Laserfish stuff wouldn't be the acceptable replacement of a permanent document if it was not strong, reliable, and safe. And even then, there's the safeguard of the document professionals in the Secretary of State's office, ensuring with their professional background that this is a good enough equivalent.
right, and we're
so the
And I'm not-
homeowner or the septic installer or whoever would have to pay the cost to have it printed out at Staples if they wanted it,
No, we would,
instead of getting it from us?
we would print, do you have a large scale printing map that printer that I don't know about?
No?
Like, so how are you printing out these big images now?
Well, we have them, we physically have the copy, you know what I'm saying? So
We
they
get
come
them
in.
from the engineers.
So the
Yeah.
other thought for holding off is that a couple of sanitarians from other parts, Middlesex County, have said that over 80% of the towns that they deal with over there do not have anything electronic at all, it's all paper.
Okay,
It's
can I
all
show you
in
something?
town. But if he's wrong,
He's running.
if he's wrong, I'm ready to,
I know, the
Change
entire
everything.
city of Worcester has converted to this.
What's that say?
And they're,
Oh.
Most dangerous reason they.
You've always said
done it this way.
Well, yeah,
Exactly.
but that's not
So-
where I'm at. My second thought on all of this is, rather than destroy the hard copies, should the original paperwork, should it all be given to the homeowners to keep, if they so choose?
If the Board of Health is willing to do that
If the
project
state
in a
says-
short period of time,
If the state,
Sure,
if the
have fun with
state,
it.
if the state says that's an acceptable thing to do,
it,
or do they
So
not
would you
have
put
to say?
something out saying if you want your paper stuff, come get it, and by such and such date, if they don't, then the rest gets shredded?
Well, it would still be online.
Yes.
Personally, I'd be the first one in line to get my property paperwork. Absolutely. In my hands, at my house.
Yeah.
Then
and-
there's no, I have no question that if I needed to have that piece of, big piece of paper, if it's for my septic or my well, and a
Yeah.
contractor comes to my house, I could say, so, here it is.
Yeah.
And he'll say, oh, well, I could get this copied at Staples, but why pay more money? I mean, it
Right.
seems
you
to me
can
like you're
also
just
look at
paying
it on a
money.
screen.
Right.
Like, you don't need
Right.
the big, like,
Right.
I miss newspapers as much as the next guy, but I can also read them on my computer
I read the
screen.
Worcester Telegram every day, and I have to make it so big on my screen because it's small. To read that, I can't imagine taking one of something like what we just looked at and putting it on a computer and then trying to read it.
That's one of the
But I
concerns.
do believe that
That's why we.
another
concerned.
example of the fear of tech.
It's not a fear of
No.
tech, it's the fact that you can't see it.
Yeah.
It's like
We
it's
can-
like
It's
you
much
got
easier
you got a
to-
big sheet of paper, right, that's this size on your computer with all that information. How the hell do you expect somebody to really read, to see it?
by doing this.
Right.
And then it gets bigger.
Yeah. But you can also then not see everything at once. So my thoughts for some of this is to, maybe offer it to people to take.
I will not provide, and I will tell this to the select board, we will not be providing the staff to implement that.
Oh, I know that.
Like, by no means, and there would be a set period of time, very limited set period of time, that, and people would not, our staff would not be able to
So
help
if
with
we
that.
wanted to store the information, not in those hallways, but in a,
In a storage facility paid for by the Board of Health, go for it.
or a free site.
It would have to be deemed secure, and I don't know who would deem such documents secure. That's not really the route I wanna go,
Right.
cause that leaves a sour taste in my mouth.
Mhm.
And I can only imagine, like,
Well, no, not, there's a container storage at DPW property.
that's also town property,
It's not being,
but it's under the guise of the select board, and we are trying to clean out different areas with this project, not just continue to shuffle around documentation.
I think offer it to the homeowners, give them a couple of weeks or something, say if you want it, come on these days, between these times.
Who knows, there's certain things that they might tell us we can't throw away. I have not sent that paper in, I don't have it back yet. Like,
Okay. So when will you know that?
couple weeks, the guy got sick.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
so the gentleman that we were working with at Kyocera came down with a rather serious sickness right in the middle of all this, so there were other people working on it, and, yeah.
Okay. So when you get that answer as to what has to be saved,
so he's
Then we
giving the
could-
answer?
No,
from
the
state?
Secretary of State
Oh.
will give the answer.
Yeah.
They're going to provide us with a document that just states what everything was. Like, that's a
Okay,
That's a
Kyocera
ser-
is providing a document
Yeah,
with
like
what's
this is
included.
that's a service that,
Okay.
like, here's everything we scanned, this is the document that the state makes you fill out when you're looking to get rid of stuff. It's the same as I did when it's kind of the step before this. Princeton had everything in a big old mess, and we had to bring everything together and actually file it, and the same paper got filled out. It's filled out and it's emailed right in, they get back to you relatively quickly.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be like a stinker here or just like get in anyone's way. I want to come to a realistic compromise on the understanding that we're not stopping with the project that was state funded and costs $100,000.
When is the shredding supposed to take place, or have you not scheduled it?
It's not scheduled at all. Like, we haven't gotten back the paper that tells us
What's there?
what's there.
Yeah. And is there a time when you have to use the grant money by?
Yes, the whole project has to be done by June 30.
That includes the shredding, right?
I'm uncertain.
Okay.
Like, I continuously go back to, this wasn't my project from the start.
Yeah.
I'm ushering it across the finish line. And in my opinion, a lot of the issues that we're going through right now are because of the original training and when it happened, and the fact that there's been such significant turnover both in employees and volunteers. But for every example of negative that you can provide me, I
There's an
can
equal number
I
of
can
good
provide
positive
you a.
ones. Oh, I know
a-
there's positive too, I'm just saying
Yeah.
right now it's about 50-50.
I haven't gone looking, but I would take your, I would.
I mean, that's
yeah.
where it stands. Just, it's an informal thing.
Yeah.
It's not a formal study.
But so far, just to kind of bring it into a local scope, every time I've been asked to find something, I've been able to, including to find something by you. Like, so, I don't know what's a compromise here. I'd keep them for a year, but lock them up. Like, I just do not want people to not be using the program because the papers are there and that's just easier. Like, we spent a lot of money, a lot of state taxpayer money to get this done.
So, if the Board of Health were to keep these documents for a year, at the end of that year, they would have to be shredded, correct? And
We
then
would
If the
before-
Secretary of State.
we would turn in the paper then.
Okay. And then the
or-
board would have to pay for the shredding at that point, right? No.
No, the shredding truck is cheap. I think it's a couple $100, so. Nothing's as cheap as it used to be, so let's call it $500-600 now.
Sounds good to me that before you shred things to see if the homeowners want the stuff. That sounds like a reasonable thing.
I disagree with
Yeah.
the reasonableness of that, but because I know where doing that would fall. That would fall on our staff here. And we don't have time to do a lot of
No.
the things that we're doing now.
I'm saying if we just had a couple of
So,
Saturdays
So
where we
one of
said
the-
if you
one of
want
the-
it,
And I
come down.
I did not,
And we would make sure we were there on a Saturday and just take their address, their information, find it for them and hand it and see ya. Have it
that's
sign
the
something for it,
it's the
yep,
same
I
way
picked
as
it up.
when I was a senior in high school, they asked me if I wanted my record. No one went and picked it up. Like,
Yeah, so if they don't want it, they don't want it, great, shred it all. I don't know, is that
so
silly
one of
to
the
do?
things that I was potentially thinking,
we don't even know what we can throw away yet.
right,
Like,
right, it may
so
not
this
be.
could be just a big old worthless conversation that we're
Correct.
having here. Like,
Till we know. So in
I'd
planning
also
for
be
all,
willing to wait till we get the paper and see what it looks like and go from there. But I would like the understanding of the Board of Health that we're doing something. Like, I'm willing to keep the paperwork for a year because just out of blatant respect for the board and the residents that elected you to your seats. But we need to also do the thing that
Oh, yeah,
they paid us
to do.
to do.
Correct. Not saying that.
Yeah. And
Oh,
I know
okay.
for a fact that people, not just in the Board of Health or in the building, in other departments, have just been using paper files because it's easier.
Right.
And
No, I'm not saying we shouldn't be going online more and more.
it's not more and more, it's a line in the sand. It's done.
It's done, right. How do I wanna say this best? Therefore, if we ask to keep the records for 1 year, you're not gonna not say that's okay.
It's unlikely.
Okay.
I would likely bring that up to the
And-
select board level and see what they wanted to say, cause I
Right, right.
only have as much authority as my appointing authority
Gives you.
gives me, so I am comfortable in noting that I would like to find a compromise, but I'm willing to bring whatever we find as that compromise to
Well,
the
I'm
select
not
board
saying
level if
So
it
the
needs to.
Kyocera is in use, and that's undeniable, and that's not what this letter is about. It's about retaining these other,
I'd be willing to go as far as to say that I think in your distinct department, the Kyocera and Laserfiche documents are not being scanned. Cause I went in there today and asked if the entire table full of paperwork was.
right, cause there's no time for anyone to do it. Now, in that regard,
'Cause
we hope, which is, I was gonna bring up under unexpected subject, I'll bring it up now, as part of this discussion, we're keeping our fingers crossed, that Worcester State University Public Health Program will, be providing interns, both in the summer and the fall, that we might be able to use for this data.
Well, this is unfortunately not something that we're going to be able to
They can't.
rely on interns and volunteers to do. And when the policy is
To
written.
catch up on the old stuff is, that we've been collecting for the last, since the files were taken away, is what I'm saying.
There was always a means of scanning.
So you want us to volunteer to scan?
If you would like. I don't have an opinion in this.
Okay.
I
So
just,
you see it has to be done,
It
but
does
you don't
have-
have anyone to do it.
it does have to be done.
I was
I
hoping,
can't-
I was
Coming in
hoping,
scanning documents, I'm sorry.
I know.
I've got a big full life.
I know,
It'll be
that's-
one of Nancy's responsibilities.
right.
Yeah, but
And she has no time for that.
if,
I'm gonna have to make time.
Right. Well,
and like
that's where I was
keep,
hoping we
and-
would get an
and like I
intern to
keep-
catch us up so
and
that
like I
as
keep
new
leaning
stuff
back
comes in,
on,
it's easier.
this isn't my project. Like, I am
Right.
I am trying to put together the last leg.
I,
So what are other departments doing to get their stuff scanned in?
Scanning it. I'd be willing to go as far as to state that other departments do not have as many permanent documents
as we do.
as Building and Board of Health does. And let's take into consideration that the town clerk's office is yet to be part of this project.
Right. Cause that's,
Cause that would be another tens of thousands of dollars in its own. Cause that big vault is packed to the gills with historic
History.
paperwork and
it's a big conundrum in a lot of ways, and I understand that.
And that's what brought me here tonight. Like, I hope everyone realizes that I'm not trying to be mean-spirited or I wanna figure it out as much as anybody. This inherited messy project that I have.
Well, I think,
And it doesn't need to.
Could we have some more thought and not, you know, and then bring it back to you? What your
I think we
what,
need to wait till he finds out what needs
yeah,
to be saved and what doesn't.
exactly, that's,
So this
That's
whole
exactly-
conversation is
not-
ridiculous until he has that answer.
Well, this
Mhm.
whole conversation began because you guys wrote me a letter after I showed.
I think that we thought everything had to be shredded, right? That was what we were left with as an impression.
At no point were you guys told or alluded to that.
I didn't know that the Secretary of State had to approve it first.
That's part of the retention schedule, that all of the documents that
But
have
we were
any.
not told that.
Yeah, it goes back to we were never informed of any of this, so we don't know the process, so therefore we don't, yeah.
That's why it came out
Yeah.
the way it did.
We're clueless because no one bothered to fill us in on anything, so.
I've been filling the Board of Health in since the minute I got here on this project, and it's
But the
status.
Secretary of State, that part of it was
That was
never
never told,
presented
yeah.
in our meeting. We did not know what you just told us tonight.
Yeah, no, it's a whole form. I can show you it when I get back. I don't even, at this point,
Well, I
I don't know
understand
what
all
it's
of
gonna
that.
say.
And, but to say that has to happen before any
Yeah.
of this decision-making can be done, we were not aware that that's the way it was gonna be handled. And that's not how it
Because the
came
Secretary of
across.
State's office is the end-all be-all for retention.
I understand that part, but I didn't know how it related to this project. And none of us did. That wasn't made clear, that's why
So I guess we just
we were
wait.
worried,
We
so
wait
at this
until we
point, we're
get
gonna
those
wait
answers.
and don't present it to the select board because we don't have an answer from all of that.
We don't have an answer.
Correct, so there's,
Okay.
it's all on hold, correct? I think that's the compromise for now.
I don't disagree. I don't have the documents back yet, the second half of them.
Right.
Oh, so they still have them.
Yeah, they still have the second half. I've held off on calling the shred truck for the first half, which was approved, because it was winter and all of this, and nobody really wants to be shredding in the winter, and I was hoping to, if we were gonna be ordering a shred truck, kinda open it up as a shred day too, since it would be here. Like, this is by no means gonna be me and the DPW carrying everything out back into a bonfire. Like, that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
That might be fun.
Yeah.
So do you, have you
Fun to
gotten a
watch.
list from the Secretary of State for the first set of documents?
Not yet.
No, okay.
No. No.
Okay,
And I'm not gonna push them until I have the second,
Right.
so.
No,
so it
makes
all
sense.
comes through at once,
Yeah.
right?
Because getting a shred truck in February sounded like a miserable time.
Correct.
It's like a
So
miserable
it's
time.
at least 2 weeks until we'll know anything, maybe more.
He told me that these paperwork were coming back a couple weeks back. So.
When it comes, we'll know.
And I'm not, like I keep saying, I'm not trying to be rude or mean or not
Well, not understanding the process is what generated the letter. That's the bottom line for, what's happened.
Yeah.
So, we're not trying to be mean or,
And I
Hard
ask
out-
that in the
hard about
future,
it too.
regardless of what happened under my predecessors and your understanding or even knowledge of certain projects, if you hear anything, you can walk right in, come see me here all the time. So I wanna work with the Board of Health. I wanna work with everybody in my capacity that is still fairly new. Like, there's still a lot of growing going on, and I wanna work with you guys. It was the same thing with the legal policy that I sent you. I am willing to bet that you didn't know about that either.
yes, I did. But under my understanding of the septic revolving account, we can't go forward.
Not the actual septic revolving issue, the requesting legal counsel.
for,
We can talk off the
Alright.
record.
sorry, got off track somehow. Okay, I think that's where we need to leave it till we hear from the, with the paperwork and everything.
Cause I guess I'm willing to keep it, and
And we're willing to shred it a year from now if
and
that's
the
under our
making
own
you move
budget.
it off of off premises was never an actual option. That was something the legal counsel said this afternoon that I would never actually do. But if we do end up keeping the documentation, cause I have a feeling that the Secretary of State's office is gonna say, yep, shred it.
Okay.
Like, because that's how it's been prior to being a town administrator or as a town clerk. I've gone through a lot of paperwork. I've done this process several times, not many times, but 10 plus times. And only one time did they say, hey, hold that, and it was an old yearbook. So, but I'm willing to keep it, but I would like to restrict access in order to maintain the integrity of something that we've
Move forward into.
moved forward into, that we've
Okay.
spent a decent amount of taxpayer money on,
Right.
and something that I'm under the inference that I've proved.
Mm-hmm.
Cause the program is not failing, we just have to use it. And my frustration with the misuse or non-use of the program is not solely with the Board of Health.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
so we won't do anything today. I'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on. And I'm gonna give him a call tomorrow and see
Where we're at.
where we're at with that.
Okay. While you're here, on unexpected subjects, I'm still hope to reach out, and I apologize, I haven't done it, and I was hoping to do it by now. Mark Popham does the testing of the landfill, and it's a huge bill. And on top of it, it's over $9,000 a year, and to be tested twice. And to pay for, Mr. Meager to mow it twice a year. Mark, in a discussion prior to approving his contract to do it again for this year, he said that, he would help us write, to ask, cause the land is not ours, just the landfill.
Land's Fitchburg's, right? Is that the
No,
deal?
no, it's, I'm tired. It's
DCR.
DCR land. And they have, it has become aware of a special fund that they have lots of money in that could be used. And he thought that if we approached that group responsible, that we might be able to get them to take it over for the costs. Because, rather than apply again, which we have already tried 2 times.
Would that require legislative approval?
No, it's regional funding, according to Mark. That was my understanding from our conversation. So,
I've known Mr. Popham for a long time, so.
I would like to work with, I've gotta make time somehow to get this to them from us. I don't know, maybe you have we can work together with Mark if you have a little time.
Yeah, we can
'cause-
work together with Mark, we can work together with, I
To-
can
to
drag
get-
Mark Cressage into this.
It comes under perusal of the Board of Health, the landfill, so if we can just work on that and save over. So the 2 tests are over 9,200 plus, the 2 lawn mowings is gonna be, at least 560 for the year. It's like $10,000,
Yeah,
close to $10,000 savings for the town.
we tried goats.
Oh, haven't tried goats.
It really worked well in Marlboro when I was there.
It does work well.
Yeah,
How much do the goats cost?
Probably more than $560.
You're right. It's just one of those things that the elder Mr. Meager has been doing twice a year, and he's in his 80s, and he still goes over with his family and they do it. Just sort of a tradition, but he could still do it. It just would, the funding would come from a different source.
It's a shame that after 30 years they still testing.
Well,
They've never
yes.
found a single thing.
And
How long is this just gonna go on?
It's gonna go on
indefinitely?
now that there's the problem of PFAS in some waters
In Westminster, yeah.
and stuff. The state, according to Mark, is never, they're extending things even further. So, in general conversation, this was a general conversation. And so.
Yeah, they're not really grandfathering in for PFAS and other ground contaminants. I was in Princeton prior to this, and that was was and is a large-scale issue for their community.
So, to the best of our knowledge, it's not for ours, but in any case, that affects these testings that you do at close landfills.
Yeah, let's get together and discuss this further. I
Yeah,
can, by all
okay.
means, I'm full-time, and we have a couple of other people that are set to help with grants and such.
Yeah,
So-
it's through one of their funds that they have.
Yeah, let's talk offline.
So I had hoped to do more by now, so that during this next budget time, we could say, this is done,
Yeah.
but it didn't work out.
I wish we could get a grant to get a good-sized generator for the school. To actually be able to use it as a shelter
That-
would be phenomenal.
That is something that I have not applied for, but it's on the front of my to-do list, like on my list of like Senator Goby, please list. It is the grant for there, because we do not have a proper emergency shelter.
And that comes under the COOP prep.
And that
plan.
comes under the COOP that we're trying to write. And within the first few months of my tenure here, we had that day where it was really, really cold and the power stopped working. I
2
wanted
days of
to,
no power.
I wanted to
Yeah.
do the emergency shelter even if no one was really going to use it, but then that came to light
Yeah.
for me at that time, so.
Generator to run it.
So it's something, those
Fabulous.
are not cheap.
No, it's
But-
very
No.
expensive.
Well, didn't Judy say they applied twice when Deval Patrick was the governor and they got turned down twice?
Maybe now.
In Princeton, we got a generator for the DPW, a much smaller building than the school, and it was approximately $50,000, and needed the better part of a year to come in. But this was post-COVID, so, well, not post-COVID, after the pandemic shut down, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's really important that the town have.
Mhm.
Should be a priority.
Okay, I think we hit all the unexpected subjects. So, what time is it?
It's 8:15.
All right, trying to,
Or 1:15.
we have a thank
That's what
you.
it feels like.
Thank you note?
My eyes are blurry. They go, oh, man.
Just sent out.
Okay, this is a thank you note to read. Need that. Updated list of septic haulers. Okay.
Did it like that.
Nice, that looks good.
Mm.
Is that on our website?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So one of these things, right, because of the date.
Yep,
As of,
if we get
yep.
any more,
You can just
I'll
add them,
yeah.
right. That sounds great. Okay.
Okay.
And that's the updated, she's put on the website so that people
Oh.
can access that.
Oh, okay, good.
And, yeah, if we get an intern, we hope that they'll do all the septic records and put them into the computer so they're part of that whole system. fingers crossed that, someone wants to come here, so.
I may do a request for tech savvy senior work offs, so we'll also
Right.
try to go that way. I know, and
We did have one couple, well now, it's been 3 years, I think, that would enter it all.
and some of
For
the
the
seniors that are
sector
good at that kind of stuff are real good at that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, so if we don't get an intern, we'll need to take that up.
Maybe they can teach me.
Kathy, I have a question about this.
Yeah,
So, unless your septic hauler is on this list, they can't pump your tank?
no, the septic hauler has to just get a permit from the town.
Those are just permitted ones.
Those are the
those are-
current permanent,
These are the current ones,
right.
okay.
So, maybe we should add that these, if your septic hauler is not on this list, they need to come to the Board of Health and get a permit.
Okay.
That's should be added in, just to make it clear to homeowners and stuff.
There's no
Can I give one more unexpected matter?
Sure.
Did Nancy update you on our meetings with the permit company?
Permit.
The, what do you call it? Permit Pro? When we got trained with the,
Oh, OpenGov?
yeah, with OpenGov.
Oh, no, no, I haven't.
Been training with OpenGov. We are trying to fix a lot of the problems that were going on even prior to Nancy getting there. A lot of incorrect names were going on permits, and that is not acceptable. So
Right.
we are working back with OpenGov to get to a level of where things are good. Nancy kind of laughed. I even went as far as to tell them, if we can't solve this next year, we'll have a different permit company. So it's something that they are working to solve. We are committed to solving the problem. It's another thing that kind of fell off tracks with all the turnover.
Correct.
But we're working on it. The MAT, the Master Access Table, has not been updated with the Board of Assessors since 2020. So
Oh,
that's
dear.
something we're working on with them, because that took a little bit of digging to figure out, hey, why isn't this property coming up? Why isn't this property coming up? So that's something we're working on. Both Nancy, Duffy, and Mark were all ears for the training. They were wonderful, and the people at OpenGov were very nice. So it's working it's working much better than it was when it was not working.
There's
But-
more of an understanding.
But yes, there's a understanding of the program. There's still some things left to be done, but we're moving forward.
That's great, because just observing, it was a very big headache
Mm-hmm.
all around. So Duffy's gotten some training too, because I know he was very concerned about that.
Yeah, that was probably what, 3 weeks ago?
Oh, okay.
This was about 3 weeks ago.
And we
that
still have questions, but.
Yeah, and there's still questions, and they reached out yesterday to circle back with us about what we needed, so they're well aware of that we were not happy with the way things were going, and we want it to work. It's a great program when it's working,
Mhm.
much like a lot of the programs in that vein.
And a
Right.
lot of it is just learning the program and
Mhm.
the ins and outs of everything too.
Right,
And when you don't have any direction,
right.
makes it
And that's how
hard.
I feel when I get a new computer. I totally understand, because there's no instructions anymore.
Their customer service has been pretty good.
Oh, good.
And our willingness on our employee end has been wonderful.
I think they're understanding also that when Nate spoke and said that if we couldn't get the answers and the help we needed, we would be finding someone new. I
Right.
think they
Yeah.
perked up a little bit.
Yes, thank you for doing that,
Yeah,
because
no.
it makes, it was very time consuming for you, I know, I saw it, and Duffy and Mark.
It's time consuming for everyone. It makes it all the way up to the people then come over here and they talk to the finance staff, and they go and they run into the select board, and it creates a whole.
Things that don't need to be,
Right,
the route doesn't need to go that way.
Yeah.
right,
Should be a
Should be a-
streamlined process.
Yeah.
right, good. That's great, thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering how that was
Mhm.
going. Yeah. Great. All right, then we have complaints, 91 Hale Road, I guess is still in the court system, waiting for the town to take over the property. Okay. 248 Gardner Road,
Is that what we said we were gonna meet on, and then kind of everyone's life went in a different direction?
248 Gardner,
Yeah.
yes.
We still need to meet on that.
Yes, I'm wondering at this point, their dumpsters are chronically overflowing, if we could, if we should, write a new letter of concern about their, just their general trash, let alone the whole fact that they have all these vehicles and everything else.
30 vehicles there now, 3 RVs, I mean, it's a
So-
mess.
Can I ask you to hold for one
wanna
meeting
hold
on that?
that?
Cause I know when the
Right.
planning board chair, you and I spoke, we
We were gonna
spoke
try and-
about ways in which Duffy needed to be involved
Right.
for all of this to move smoothly.
So that's, I'm
So-
not saying we're gonna, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
that should be part of it again.
Yeah, no, I'm aware that we need to kind of have a
Okay.
rendezvous
Alright,
of the different departments involved in 248 Gardner Road.
Duffy is in the office when?
Mondays from 3 to 6.
Mondays 3 to 6, okay, so maybe we can work it with
Cause
his
the
hours.
select board's office has a portion of that, whereas they're operating a unlicensed junkyard.
Yeah.
The building inspector obviously has a portion of that, the Board of Health has a portion of that, the planning board has a portion of that, so let's all
See if we can get that
get together
coordinated
and,
on a Monday between 3 and 6.
After you all get together, maybe you should all get together with the person that actually owns that property. The person that's living there
Is not the
doesn't own the
owner,
property,
yeah.
they're a renter. So I would think that you might wanna go to the landowner,
yeah, and they've
because
been- they've
he's the
been
one that's
sent-
gonna pay,
Right?
Yeah, they've been
It's
sent
on the state.
correspondence, I wanna say that's correct, I'm not 100% sure.
Right,
In my 5 months here, certain things have kind of melded together.
yeah,
So-
I think.
Somebody must be paying the property taxes, right?
It's going, so yes, the taxes are being paid, I did check, with the office,
So
and
they
it's,
must have
it's being,
address.
it's being paid by the bank. So one of the options perhaps, I don't know, maybe you can find out,
Send a letter to the-
send the letter to the bank holding the mortgage on the property and get them involved. That's an option that I had thought of.
Let's all get together and
Okay, so we'll
talk
have to
about,
try and work on a.
because there, certain things need to happen in order
Mm-hmm,
there.
yeah, so that's one area that's why that stays on there, but we haven't
Mhm.
done anything.
Oh, absolutely, it's still an issue. It's one of those things that was on my to-do list as well.
Okay, so do we have turnovers and stuff?
Last week, hadn't we talked about the old Bill's Bait Shop? Is there anything going on with that? Where the house is collapsing and someone's living in an RV
That was talked about
on
last.
68?
That's in the minutes.
168?
No, it's on Route 68, I don't know the number.
Route 68.
the one where
Right.
where the house is actually
It's-
starting to fall in now,
Yes,
it's
it's
85.
caving in, but there's an RV in the back that I think someone's living in, which according to the bylaws, right, they can only be in 6 months of the year.
I don't know, it's number 85.
That's what,
Number
85?
85?
Thought we had said something about putting signs up or something last week,
Right,
cause it's bad,
Okay.
there's no roof on it, it's completely caved in,
Right.
the actual structure.
I will get.
Oh, the one at number 85 isn't completely caved in yet, yet.
Then maybe that's not the one I'm talking about, it
The
used to be
bait-
the old
the bait
Bill's Bait
shop?
Shop.
H.
Well, that's 85. That's
Okay.
number 85.
I thought there was a hole in the roof now.
No, not yet. It's gonna get that way though. I just noticed the other day, I went by, the windows in the front of the house are now
Okay.
starting to, instead of
Right.
being like this, they're like this. So it is definitely caving in on
Okay.
itself. But it's
I-
not
No
No
fully
one's
there
living
yet.
in it, but it should be condemned anyway.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
I'm starting, food inspections tomorrow, so I will take my no trespassing signs with me and post them, okay? We have approval, to post no trespassing signs on 85 Gardner Road due to the fact that the vacant house is dangerous.
Yeah.
Do I hear a second on that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll put up the no trespassing signs tomorrow. Add that to my
Actually, by
list.
putting up a no trespassing sign there may bring that person out, whoever owns it, or
Right.
whatever, may come to the town clerk and say, hey,
Or-
what, then it's like, okay, so you've brought them out,
Okay.
and now you can have a conversation with them.
I'll
And,
use
you
a
know,
Sharpie.
Oh, there's a new town clerk.
Knock on the door.
Hmm?
Oh, there's a new town clerk.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't stopped by, I met her. Her name is Candace Livingston. We hired her. She was the assistant town clerk in Rutland.
She was what?
The assistant town clerk in Rutland,
Oh, okay. And what's her name?
Candace Livingston,
Okay.
Sharpie.
who started yesterday.
Posted.
So far, so good.
Okay. I'll make sure that the no trespassing sign has a Sharpie, ledger on it that says posted by
Board of-
Hubbardston Board of
Yeah,
Health.
and then maybe they'll come down and say,
Yeah.
what happened, how, you
Right.
know, and then you can have a conversation, you
Mhm.
know, and say, well, you know,
Well, maybe buying an RV and living in it is cheaper than fixing the house up. but-
Yeah.
I don't see a car there very often, do you?
no, I never see a car there, no.
Or a truck? Do
No.
you see a car or truck,
No,
anyone?
but someone's in the RV. I've seen
Lights
signs
on?
of, signs of life,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay,
There's somebody there. I don't
Hmm.
know.
all right. I will make sure I have the police come with me. I won't go by myself. I thought it was completely empty at this point.
Do you have
Alright.
tags when you do that kind of, for you?
I have my inspector
Okay,
card,
perfect.
and I always present. Have it.
We were talking with the assessors the other day. The last thing I want is for someone to get injured while they're doing that type of thing. So I figured since the assessor had them, I figured you had them as well.
Yeah, I do. I have an ID. That I'm on the Board of Health inspector. Okay, I think we're ready for, turnovers and financial reports. We have a bill from our sanitarian, Phil, for a total of $500 dated 4/19 for, D-box and a septic inspection and a perk. Just as a reminder, one of the reasons the septic, got in the red, so badly, was that, it was not brought to our board's attention that the billing and the fees did not match during that time. And instead, and also they were only collecting, the fee for the Title V inspection and not the, what's the other part of the construction fee? The application. The application fee. There's two fees that have to be paid. They were only collecting one. And that's how, to the best of my ability of looking over the records in the last year, that's how the septic
It's not just that one.
got so far in the red. in your budget to cover, or are they continued fees that we collect for the septic revolving to help pay that back?
I don't have an answer off the top of my head for
Okay,
you
well, it's
this
something
evening.
we'll look
Yes,
into,
that's
okay?
something we can look into, and it's not a no, I don't have an answer.
That's
Right
okay.
now, we also, Madam Chair, you and I need to look into if the number that is set each year at town meeting is enough to do business just throughout the year. It's something that really only came to my knowledge when we were talking about the kind of legality behind the revolving accounts and how they're set and et
Right.
cetera.
Right.
Kelly is also working on all of that back.
Yeah.
She's checking that,
She's working on that
in what regard?
to try to
Find the
find,
discrepancies?
yeah, and yes.
Well,
And like we talked about previously, if the discrepancies are in this fiscal year, by all means, we will do our best to fix them, but we can't go back in time and,
Oh,
and
right.
fix discrepancies. There would be no
oh,
one
we're
to.
running out of time.
Yeah, we are running out of time. It is May 1st on Monday.
I know, we're running out of time for that. Anyways, so that's an issue still to be resolved, is the fact that the septic revolving account, as of the last statement, which is in your, information, is 11,000 something in the red.
Was there a period of time where the fees we were collecting were not covering the inspection amounts they were charging us? Was that part of it too?
Yes, that is correct.
Under the old?
So,
person?
under the previous person,
Okay.
he
When
would.
did you first note this? Like, has this been progressively in the red for,
No, we've always been in the black. It's happened in this last year,
alright,
possibly back into 21, because in 21, as you know, I was minimally involved, because.
Kelly's working tomorrow, let me see if I
Yeah,
can,
'cause my,
if I
'cause
can
it
put-
may have started in 21 and we didn't catch it in 22. But we've always been in the black, we've never
Yeah.
had this problem.
No,
We've always.
I believe you, it would have been, you would have had an incredibly difficult time crossing fiscal years.
Exactly,
Like,
and we've
no.
never had that.
No.
So, but in 2021, you know,
We'll
it
figure,
was-
figure it
I
out.
was not real active on the
Yeah.
board in paying attention to anything.
As
because
I'm
of
sure you
other
figured out,
personal things
finances
going
are
on.
tight across the board.
Yeah.
So we would,
Yeah, so
I would
that,
like to figure out how to solve that problem without having to
well,
use too much of anything else.
no, we don't wanna use too much of anything else. And that's why we're trying to make sure, that we get these invoices and do you have the turnover of what's being deposited?
I gave you a turnover last one, I haven't done a turnover.
Okay, the last one at
Yeah.
the last meeting, okay, that's fine.
But this is all the backup for what he
Yes,
states
for
here.
what he did, yeah. Because that was another issue, some of the meetings in 2022, Mallory wasn't bringing the information to the meetings. So there was an issue going on, and it just, it's one of those things that happened. So I make a motion that we approve, Phil Ledger's, bill for the current, $500.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, approved to pay.
When we agree to pay his stuff, have we made sure that we actually got the fees in for what he did?
Yes, yeah,
So that's now
Nancy's-
being done to make sure we're actually covering what we're paying him?
yes.
Well, we're collecting the correct fees,
Yeah.
so it just kind
Yeah.
of goes hand in
Should
hand.
cover it.
Yeah,
Is
and
he
then-
75% as well?
Hmm?
Is he 75% of what he collects as well?
No, he has a set rate.
He has
of-
set
Set
He
rate.
has a whole sheet that he sends us.
Yeah, and that's what we agreed to before you came in,
Yes.
because we needed somebody.
Yeah.
And he was reasonable, because his 200 for this perk, that goes from the perk to the completion of the project. Or whatever it is, new construction, full repair, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Whereas the previous guy, if the perk, he would charge his fee for that, but then every time he would go back for a bed bottom inspection, once the system in the leach field was put in, or the tank was put, he would charge for every one of those individually. And that's how it got to be where it was.
Inspections is something I would love to do a study on, to get better answers on what the going rates are and what the
So we had done that in the past, that's why, when he came in August to, ask for increasing his rates 3 times what he was getting, we said, no, thank you. So we have, Richard Stevens as a backup contractor to cover if Phil's not available. And then if it's just to witness, a D-box installation or the tank installation, I can still do that if, as the third backup, or the second backup. And of course, I don't get paid for any of that, so we're not incurring any costs. And I recently did 2 of those, where, cause Phil was out of town, and it was just look at the system and look at it after it's covered up, cause there's multiple steps that you inspect each time. And the previous man was charging for each visit, and not the total fee, whereas Phil has a flat fee that includes all those steps. So
I
it's-
know this is an issue for, as I'm sure you guys do as well, for many municipalities at this time, like, so.
Yeah. We had done a review in, I wanna say the last review was done in early 2020 before COVID hit. And we were at that point, but that's 3 years ago again. We were at the right place with our fees at that point. I believe that was the last time we
Things
did it.
change fast nowadays too.
Yes. That's for sure.
I need a roll of stamps.
Oh, yes. The office needs, a roll of stamps from USPS for $63. Make a motion, we approve to have that done. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
That's where you draw the line.
Stamps, no stamps for you.
Thing Mary and I are looking into as well, speaking into that, is to get into the modern age with everybody else and possibly maybe get a postage machine. It's something we're looking at, and it's not, it hasn't even been brought
Well, it's,
out
there's
yet.
too many things catching up right now,
Yep.
so. Alright, anything else from anybody? So we haven't reviewed the,
I do have this.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's about a septic loan.
Oh.
But do you wanna just talk, you and I talk about it, or do you wanna bring it up here?
we have an applicant for a septic loan.
We haven't started it, I just was trying to get information, and I do have this book.
Uh-huh. And we also
He's
check with
looking.
Bobby, 'cause
I
she-
did, and she didn't have any information.
Okay.
So I talked with the treasurer,
Okay.
Mary.
Mhm.
This is what she gave me. But we
Correct.
have this, all of this in the book, so I just didn't know how to, he's looking to start it, so.
Okay,
But I think we could go over this.
Bless you.
sorry,
No,
the
it's
septic-
1:30 in the morning in my head.
sorry, the septic loan program, if it's okay with you guys, I'll work with Nancy to help get this started, and then we can approve it at a future meeting.
Okay, that
Okay.
sounds good.
That's what I'm trying to say. The review of the 2 sections of the, tattoos and
And drinking water.
drinking water.
Public and private water
Um,
supplies.
Do you wanna table that till the next meeting?
Please.
It's not critical.
Lori's gonna follow.
Okay, it's all right with me. We waited this long. We had looked at it last year this time, and then we lost Mallory, and the
Yeah,
documents were lost on the
Yeah,
computer,
yeah, all
and
that
we
work.
started all over again.
all that work.
So,
Gone.
yeah, what's another meeting? We'll table that till the next meeting, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So when's our next
Did you-
meeting?
Put myself
In-
to bed.
We have a meeting on May 3rd, joint meeting on Wednesday
Yep.
at 7 p.m. here. And then the second Tuesday is
The
May
9th,
The
May
9th.
9th.
May 9th will be the next meeting.
Have you checked with CM Geeks to see if they can go through Mallory's old files and pull it for you? Cause that's something that we can do. If she saves it appropriately.
So,
We can talk about it when we meet. see if-
I'm gonna real quick, Mark's answer was, it was not saved. It was just on the desktop. And that's why we don't have it. Okay? There we are.
Here we
So,
are.
redone. We've basically redone, or with Judy's expert help, thank goodness.
Yeah.
She's done the massive amount of reworking it all and redoing it so that we can finally get them updated again. Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:42 p.m.